one and all, and welcome back to another thrilling episode of Off the Dome. I'm your humble interviewer, Jordan Brown, and with me for the very first time is our daring dice maker. Say hi, daring dice maker.
Hi, daring dice maker.
Whitney, thank you so much. This is so exciting.
I love that you're saying this like
interview.
I didn't pay you to do it, Jordan. Like
yeah,
I
but I
physically
would have.
gave. Well, no, I didn't give you money.
You didn't give me money. To be clear, it was for charity. I don't charge people for interviews.
Maybe you should.
I mean, look. Yeah, maybe that's my new business.
Sam money. Charge Sam money for interviews of his staff members.
That's right. Yeah, I think he would be super into that. But you also would warrant an interview regardless of the donation, because you're smoking glue guns on the internet, and that's a big deal.
I suppose
you make incredible dice. They're at my finger.
You had my rocks just on standby.
Yeah. I think this one was also...
I sent you several rocks. Yeah.
Well, these are too big to put in a bag. Also, I just love this one, and I like it to be out because it's the Burroughs End one.
It's so... Jasper just saw that one on Twitter, I think, the other day, and lost his mind about it. And I literally was like, Jasper, you were tagged in that video a bajillion times on TikTok.
So busy.
So many people were like, did you send it to Jasper? I was like, yeah, no, I sent it to Jasper. Jasper's a busy person and hasn't seen it. Rashawn has seen it and demanded them immediately. Immediately slid into my DMs and was like, please send me the rocks. And I was like, you need only ask. You made me cry. You can have math rocks. That feels fair.
That's very good. Can I tell the story? Because it's the coolest I've ever felt.
It is. Yes, you can tell the story. It is very cool.
You were driving to a convention, I believe, which is why you were in a hotel right now, because you're obviously always at conventions. And you texted me to ask if you could call me, which, by the way, huge thank you for not just calling me. Please never. I try
to do that.
Yeah.
For all of the people who I call, because I don't like talking on the phone.
Yeah.
But if I'm driving a vehicle, I should probably be talking and not texting.
Yeah.
Don't text and drive. Don't text and drive.
Yeah. And it was a long message, and you were like, "Hey, I had this idea.
This will be faster if I just call you. So can I please call you?"
You're like, "I have this idea for dice that have what's called crankies, as it turns out, of the Stoats." From Burroughs End, but there are no clean pictures of them because the cast are always sitting in front of them. Do you know who? Would it be Carlos? Who would I talk to? And I was like, oh, you should talk to Derek Christensen and Ruby O'Brien, the projectionists. I emailed them earlier today, which was true, and just wild timing. And then, you got in touch with them, and these are the actual
so
crankies.
Kind. They are. They were super kind and really, really chill about it. Realistically, I don't know if they were supposed to give them to me.
It's fine.
But if Sam Rice wants Burroughs End dice, he knows where to find me.
Yeah.
I'm perpetually online. And my pitch to them was I will send you the rocks. I will send you the rocks. I just need the images so I can make a couple of them. I'm not gonna go ad hoc. And they're tedious as heck to do because the weeding is really difficult, especially on the first Stoats, because there's these little bow ties that are a nightmare to pop the little pieces out of, but it looks so cool when it glows in the dark. It's perfect.
I can't turn off the lights because I have so many lights on because it's dark here because it's 7:45 at night. So I have the overhead light on, which I usually don't, so I can't turn off the light because I would have to walk over there. But yes, a little blue glow in the dark, beautiful, stunning. I think that should lead into one of the really important questions that I have for you. Why are your dice so expensive?
I have a feeling. I have
3 questions written down for you, and they are all equally obnoxious.
I was about to say, I have a feeling everything you're going to ask me is going to be me wanting to reach through the computer and just throttle you.
To be fair, I also have Patreon questions that I have pulled up, and they are much nicer.
I'm so curious to see what they pitched as options. So do you want the equally sarcastic response,
it doesn't
or
really
the
matter to me.
actual version?
I mean, whatever you want to give.
They're that expensive because I said so.
That's fair.
But also, handcrafted dice just take a lot of time and effort. Every single dice that's posted online or that you see in person literally has passed through my hands. If it's one of my handcrafted sets, it literally doesn't get to the final table without me touching it at literally every step of the process. That means casting, if I had to get special inclusions, if I did handcrafted drawing on the blanks, if I cut out fancy tiny little pieces of like vinyl or stickers, everything was done laboriously, and it takes a lot of time and effort and skill, and I'm kind of good at what I do. Kind of the
Yeah,
internet has decided, so they did just give me an award,
that's right.
so
You are a Crit Award winner, best
yeah.
dice maker in the universe, I believe is the title.
It's gonna go to my head so fast.
Yeah. I was, man. Do you watch Make Some Noise? I don't know which
I
Dropout shows
do.
you watch.
I watch Make Some Noise.
Okay.
I watch I watch sections of Dimension 20, the ones that
Yeah.
really appeal to me. I have not publicly talked about Never Stop Blowing Up because I got 10 minutes into it and I was like, this is cool, not my cup of tea.
Yeah, which is fair.
Ejecting
Yeah.
out of it real hard. I love the more like high fantasy stuff. So like I've done a lot of those seasons, but every time it's like a more modern setting or something like super, like I tried so hard to get into Mentopolis and I was like, this is cool. I love the cast, not my vibe.
Yeah. Which is fair. So the Make Some Noise thing, it was to be all right. First of all, on the record, I did vote in the Crit Awards, and I did vote for you,
Okay. I mean,
as well
you're
as
not
everyone else we
legally
know.
bound to tell
Right.
me.
But I really wanted to make a video because the Crit Awards website, the day after it closed, had like a huge thing, like red thing on it that said like voting is closed. And I really wanted to make a video because I had been teasing you that I hadn't voted yet, which wasn't true. And I really want to make a video where I used Brennan's audio, where he tried to do the like the like ADR whatever, like over the dinosaur clip, and he like is like, oh, I buffed it, and like knocks everything over. And I was like, this would be perfect audio because I'll be like, I'm the smart one, I'm gonna go vote for my friends, and then like I open it up and it's like closed for video. But they didn't have it online, and I was like, I'm not recording this off of my phone and uploading the audio to do this. It's just not worth the energy for me.
Too much for
yeah.
a bit.
Yeah. It's like, it's like I don't have the energy to do it, so I'm just not gonna. I'm just gonna say I'll just leave a comment that I'm like, oh, is voting still open? When you win your award, which is what I did. And I think it came off that I was saying you didn't deserve it because of your horrific monstrosity that you were showing in that video. But what I was trying to imply was that I hadn't voted yet, which was also not true. Because that was the baby doll head nightmare, right?
That was the new baby doll head. That was Douglas, who is he made his show debut today, and the number of the weird thing about that die specifically, is he's sitting on like a little lit turntable that like slowly rotates, and he's in front of like bins of little other like behind bins of little other dice, so people could be looking at like little companion cubes or D12s or D20s, and then they'll catch like the eye or like the bloody dice out of the corner of their vision, and it's like a jump scare every time, and I can usually clock it when it start like about to happen. I'm like, I could say something, I'm not going to.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's a delightful. Yeah, it's delightful and wonderful. You want to hear one of the Patreon questions? It's from someone you know. From Nat20 Wife.
Dear God.
The question is just, why are you? Excuse me, why you so awesome? Not why are
Why
you?
you so awesome?
Why you so awesome?
Why you so awesome? I don't know. I think, well, one, I'm bad at thinking of myself as awesome. I just keep putting one foot in front of the other and ride this ridiculous thing that I've whoopsidentally myself into for as long as the internet will allow me to continue to do it.
Yeah, that's my life too.
It's like this was not the plan that we were going on. I have a degree in live performance. In the before times, I was a master electrician and lighting designer for theater. So like I was doing that full time, and then Panorama happened, and life got weird.
That's fair.
Yeah, and it's just been keep going ever since. So like as to like the why, I don't know. I don't think I am. I'm really weird.
I mean, agree to disagree. Wait, no, whatever. You are awesome. That part's true. Also weird though. We have hung out in
We
person.
have. I'm just
Yeah,
as weird in person, if
yeah.
not worse.
Yeah, it was a delightfully very weird night at PAX East.
Have you shared that story publicly?
I don't think
Can
I don't
we
know if I
can we
have.
share
Yeah,
that? Because it
it's
was the wildest series. Well, also you weren't there for this part of it, but like I ran into Iffy the following evening at like one of the hotel bars.
mhm.
And I was like, Iffy, I'm going to give you uppies because you're a very large man, and I would assume that you're always giving everyone uppies, and I'm a sturdy lady, so I will lift you into the air. So I did. At which point he said, and I quote, I will not stand for this, and wrapped his like entirely huge massive arms around my midsection and yeeted me about 4 feet into the air. Like I
Yeah.
felt my spine crack. It was very, very good, but like also like I'm a thick lady. And like I'm almost 6 feet tall, so it was very weird to just like suddenly be in the sky.
Iffy is very strong and gives very
Oh
powerful
my
hugs.
god. It's very it's he's a good bean.
Yeah.
He feels like a giant teddy bear that doesn't know how strong it is. It's like
Hmm.
hugging a grizzly bear.
Yeah.
But like it's not gonna hurt you. It's just it doesn't mean to. It just wants to give you scritches.
Yeah. I get to see him tomorrow night. He's in Austin doing stand up
Oh
with
fuck yeah!
Raph and Armando,
Oh my god!
formerly from
Please
Rooster
tell
Teeth.
Iffy I said hey.
I will.
I doubt he'll remember me, but
Yeah. Yeah.
tell him I said hey.
Yeah, but yeah, so that night at PAX East, Iffy had decided like an impromptu get together at a bar that had like the name of it made sense for like PAX East. It was like magic potions or something, some
Something like
nonsense.
that.
Yeah. And so it was like, oh yeah, this totally makes sense. But it turns out that night was house music DJ night at the bar/restaurant. And you and I got there early because we hadn't eaten, and I was like, they have food. Let's not try and find another place. And they had like moved all of the tables out, and so like a thing that was definitely supposed to be like a quiet little get together with Iffy and theoretically BDG, who did not show because he was so tired.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't he take like a red eye that day and like
He
went
took a red eye
straight to the
that
actually
day.
panel?
Yeah, he got in at like 10 a.m. or whatever, met up with me and Iffy for lunch, went to the hotel and checked in, and then came to the actually panel. I think he may have slept for 30 minutes. So like, yeah, fair to not show up. Anyway, so this like what definitely was supposed to be like a small like kind of meet and greet, quiet, like you get to actually talk to Iffy thing, was just a like 3-hour dance party instead of just like the thumpiest music imaginable. It was wild.
It was the trippiest, weird evening of my life. In a very long time, considering that I've had a series of just really weird things happen. And then like it didn't get less weird when I finally dipped, because I think I left before you did.
Yeah.
And it was around the same time that Annika was leaving, who I did not know. And Annika just adopted me and shoved me in their Uber and was like, I will get you back to our hotel. I was like, okay. It was all of it was I've just learned that like if I'm doing anything around or near Iffy, just expect that it's gonna be an entertaining experience.
Yeah. Yeah, very chaotic, very entertaining. Yeah, because it was obviously like the actually panel happened. There was then the like an impromptu meet and greet immediately after that, where he and BDG just like were like, we'll come hang out, and it was an hour plus long line of
I
people
went
who
to
wanted
a
to talk
whole
to them.
nother panel.
Yeah,
And like
came
watched. I
back,
think that
and
was,
I
I
was
went
still
to
there.
cast
Yeah.
parties. I went to cast parties one shot. And then cast party had like a little mini meet and greet afterwards. And I came back and you were still
Yeah.
like there was still people in line.
Yeah.
And like that was how I met BDG for the first time. I was like, no, I'm with Jordan. I'm with Jordan. I'm not a weirdo.
Yeah.
I mean I am, but like I'm with Jordan.
Yeah, it was a wild weekend, a wild day because it was just that day.
Oh yeah,
I
you were
know.
there for like 36 hours total or something like that,
Yeah, I
wasn't
was
it?
there very little amount of
You're just
time.
like, whew.
Yeah, I mean, Iffy had been there. Iffy, I think, was there the whole time. Um, BDG, I think, left immediately the next day. Just literally
Yeah.
like red eye out, flew out early the next morning. Which
What a wild 24
yeah,
hours.
I have said this publicly. Walking around with BDG at PAX East was the wildest thing because it is so much his crowd.
Yeah.
Because of like his background, like he's wearing a mask, and he used to have really long hair, and now it's like it was cut really short.
Yeah.
But like he's in full mask, and people. A dozen people at least walked up and they're like, I'm such a huge fan. Not, hey, are you BDG?
They
Like,
just
there was
knew.
no hesitation. They were like, I'm such a huge fan. And I was like, man, that is a level of fame that is wild.
It's it's wild when you're in proximity to people like that. Because it's just like especially when you're just hanging with them to a degree, it reaches a point where like even on the lower level of like TTRPG content creators who I am friends and mutuals with, where like to me they're just people. It's very weird when someone comes up and like is fully having like a fangirl moment, and like the urge to just like retreat into the wallpaper and just like be like I'm just okay, cool, bye. It happened a bunch at Dragon Con last year. At one point I was walking around with Don Marshall. And the number of people were like, wait, you're Don Marshall. You're the obscure Lord of the Rings facts guy. And I had to be like, it's just Don.
yeah.
He's just a guy. He's just a little discount Lin-Manuel Miranda. It's fine. Just calm down. Calm
Uh,
down. You don't need to cry.
can I share my favorite Don Marshall story now?
You absolutely can.
Which is he and Nat20 wife were on vacation and did not have cell phone service. And I don't remember why I knew this, but they had texted me beforehand to be like, hey, we're going to be out of touch like for like 5 days or whatever. And so the day they left, I made a video where I said I was the obscure Lord of the Rings facts guy. Because I knew 1,000 people would tag him in the comments and that he wouldn't see them for 5 days. And sure enough, 5 days later, I got a text from him that was like, well, that really worked. And I was like, yeah, it sure did, huh? Because like people would be like, that's John Marshall. And I'm like, I've never heard of him.
No, I remember this video because I
Yeah.
literally was like, "Oh, Don's gonna be so mad." I think it said something to that effect in the comments. And you're like, "Who's Don?"
Yeah.
My favorite Don Marshall story, which I'm going to share because I've told it to enough people in person that he's just gonna have to get over it. So I met him at Gen Con for the first time last year. I got lumped into like a pile of people, and then like I ended up in this really cool friend circle. And Don is quite possibly the nerdiest human on this planet. We went out for Mexican food, and we're in a big round table. And he realized we had the exact number of people at this table to form a Council of Elrond because it's Don.
Mhm.
And he literally then decided he had to assign everyone at the table who they were in the Council of Elrond. Now, at the time, I had not yet watched any of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, so he defaulted to going, oh, well, Whitney, since you haven't watched any of the trilogy, you're Boromir. Now, I know enough about Lord of the Rings that I've absorbed by osmosis to know that Boromir is the one who dies, so I immediately had to be like, well, Don, you do realize by giving me Boromir, you just killed the only black woman at this table. And the level of fear that just crossed over his poor little face was deeply. I had to reassure him like 17 times. I was like, no, it was a joke. It was a joke. It was a funny haha. You're good. You're good. I'm not gonna cancel you on Twitter. You're fine. It's okay. But like I'd known him for I think like 36 hours at that point. When I was like, okay, cool. You're getting full throttle Whitney. This is as chaotic as it's gonna get. And if you can't handle me here, we should end this friendship now.
Oh, it's delightful. Yeah, I got to meet Don and Nat at this year's Gen Con. They came in
They're the nicest
for
humans on
like
this planet.
an hour or something. I don't know. That was like, I don't remember why they came in. They wanted to see people.
They came for Quincy's panel, I think, because they were
Mm,
texting me the whole time. And they wanted to go meet up with Tank and just like touch. They don't live super far, I think it wasn't like an incredibly egregious journey for them.
Yeah.
So they like went to say hi and meet up with people and all that fun jazz. So
Yeah, they were at the very cool Hunters Entertainment party that night.
yeah,
With
I
all
have heard tale of this Hunter's Entertainment party. Where was
Brent,
that the one where everyone got coins and no one used them because y'all are a
that
bunch of nerdy bitches?
that was the Start Playing Games party. Hunters Entertainment just very smartly handed out like pieces of paper, and we went and turned them in.
Like, you gave us coins. What did
Yeah.
you think we were gonna do with them? I'll buy
Yeah.
my own drinks to keep fantasy money.
Yeah, I think I have those also nearby. I do have I have 4 of them still. That's my favorite one because it's got like a little like not normal
Oh,
coin
that
shape.
is cool.
Yeah, you think I'm going to turn this in for a drink?
No,
You're out of your
no,
mind.
that's giving Assassin Creed Bunny in a good
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, get it together, Devin. I'm not turning that in. That the Hunters Entertainment party was super fun. It was one. It's because the McElroys were like at Gen Con. It's like Griffin like had like posted up at the bar, and like a small circle of people had like formed behind him. It's like, just let him be a human being. Just don't be weird. But
Dude,
yeah,
it's a thing I've talked about regularly with several of the people in the circle that I run with, where there seems to be this like misconception that there's like a clickiness or like a weirdness to like the people in the TTRPG content creation space. And it's like, it's not so much that it's a clique, it's more just that like we're people, and like it's weird when people don't treat us like people. Like, I'm just a little bean making rocks in my room and then posting content to the internet. You don't know me. I'm glad you enjoy the things I make. That's wonderful and great. But like, also, I'm Whitney, not just smoking glue guns. So please don't scream glue guns at me on the street, which has happened more than once.
I
Actually, no.
bet.
There was one time where it was glue guns at a convention, where like at a convention I don't mind it as much because like we're at a con, I'm there doing my thing. But like someone turned a corner, saw the banner, screamed glue guns at the top of her lungs, started crying, and then ran away, and I didn't know remotely how to handle any of that.
I wouldn't.
Like,
I
what?
wouldn't know how to handle that
I
either.
don't.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with that. And then the other one was last year at Dragon. I was in full Laren cosplay,
Mm-hmm.
and I was going to the Critical Role meetup, and someone screamed "Dick Dice" at me on the street. Like, not my name, not my username. It was just, "Hey, Dick Dice," and I'm like, I know who you're talking about right now, but also, how did you figure out that? Like, I'm in a wig with elf ears and a golden bedazzled dress. I don't look like me right now. How do you? Okay, cool. Yeah, hi. I have a name. It's Whitney.
Yeah. Oh, that's delightful. At Gen Con this year, in line for something, I don't remember. And someone was like, "Are you Jordan Brown?" And they were pulling their phone out of their pocket as they were saying that. And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, do you want a picture?" And she goes, "Oh, my phone doesn't fit in my pocket very well." And I was thankfully within ear distance of Rowan and Caitlin and a couple other people who knew me, who then just immediately started roasting me to be like, "Yeah, Jordan just goes up to people and demands they take pictures with him." And I was like, "That's right. If I think you recognize me, you have to take a picture with me."
I'm gonna riz you for like 3 seconds, and it's the only thing you're ever getting from me. I was at a con a while ago, and I was chatting with someone, and then they saw a dice that reminded them of the Alvin D20 I made for Dropout last year, and they were just like, "Wait, aren't you friends with Jordan Brown?" Like, it wasn't like, "This is what you do on the internet." It was like, "You're friends with Jordan, so you're cool."
That's wild.
It was very
Yeah.
cool to them be like, "Oh no, I have Jordan's number. I can just text him."
Yeah. We're real life friends.
We're real life friends.
You're saved as Whitney in my phone, not as glue guns.
Really?
Yeah.
So often, I don't know if this is a thing you do or if it's a thing that other neurodivergent people do. I'm bad at remembering why I know people.
Mm-hmm.
So what I end up often doing in my phone is saving people in a way of which why I should remember who they are. So like Don is specifically obscure Lord of the Rings boy. Nat is saved as like Dawn's lady wife, which I just thought was very funny. And then at a certain point in time, I know who they are, and I just don't change the usernames,
Yeah.
which leads to very funny interactions with like I had a vendor friend who saw what he was saved as, and I'm not saying it on the internet because that doesn't need to be saved. I'll tell you when we're not recording. But he saw it, so I was like, hey, you need to see what you're saved in my phone as, and he was just like, that's very funny and accurate. Never tell anyone online that. I was like, copy. It's bad. It's real bad. But I'll tell you when it's not recording.
Wonderful.
But like
Well, hey,
that's how my brain works.
Speaking of the Alvin dice,
Yeah.
what a great transition. How did that come about? What a stunning like, dice that was. Like, is it one of those things where you also thought you were being pranked when you got, 100%. I'm assuming, the DM?
Yeah, this is going to get really interesting because okay, cool. I have to accidentally bring up a person who's been shunned from the community because that was how I discovered that this was legit. Conveniently, much like how I called you, I got an email while I was driving to, I think, Charleston, South Carolina for a show, from, oh god, I'm gonna blank on the name. Was it Brian? No. It's like it's the PR person over there whose name I can't remember right now.
Well, it's either Kyle Rohrbach or, I mean, Colleen is their now PR person. I don't know who it would have been at the time.
It was a guy. And I can't remember who it was. And now I'm tempted to check my email to see what the name was, because I feel really, really bad that I can't.
I have to edit this interview. This is the worst.
Yeah. Andrew. It was Andrew. That was who. Yeah.
Andrew Bridgman, yes.
Andrew Bridgman.
Chief digital officer.
Yeah. He went to the contact form on my website and filled out the contact form. Like, didn't email me. So I got that and I was like, this is 100% spam. This is someone fucking with me. I don't know who this is. So I did the only thing I knew of at the time, because I wasn't friends with you yet. Because I think you found me through that dice.
Probably.
I think that's how like we ended up connecting.
Yeah, the only dice makers I follow are dice makers who also like things that I like, because I just can't follow more dice makers. I have too many dice as it is.
That is, I need to tell you how many dice I have. We'll get back to that.
Yeah.
So I ended up DMing, we're not going to name their name.
Someone who at the time we didn't know was bad.
Exactly. Who happened to do stuff with Dropout. And I'm assuming you can put the pieces together there. I DM'd them because I was already mutuals with them. And I was like, hey, I got this email from this person. Is this a real human who works for Dropout? Because I don't know this name at all. And I don't know how to verify any of this. And they're like, yeah, no, they're a cool guy. Email them back. And I was like, cool, I'll email them back. They had done homework, which was wild. They were like, we've seen your content. We don't want to change what you do. Do you want to see the first episode of Dungeons and Drag Queens early? See if there's any sound bites or clips that stick out. All that stuff. So I got the episode early, which was wild.
Mm-hmm.
And I had that and couldn't tell anyone because I was like, no one I'm friends with is gonna like get why this is super cool, because I didn't like have any of those connection. I was still like baby in the space. I'd also never done a brand partnership, so I didn't know how any of that stuff worked. And I like just shot a number at them and they were like, yeah, cool, that's great, we'll pay you half up front, pay you the rest when you're done. I was like, cool, I'd also like to donate half the proceeds to the Trevor Project because that feels correct. And they're like, we love that, you can sell the dice. And I was like, you don't want it? He's like, no, just make it and then sell it. It's fine. We'll pay you to make the content. So they did. And the funniest part of posting it was like the number of people who didn't clock that it was a brand partnership until they like scrolled down and saw the bottom. And they're like, wait, what do you mean? What do you mean? It's like, I don't know how this happened. It was also wild because like I got the message from Andrew. And then around the same time, I got like 3 orders from the shop for like some of the weirder dice I make that all went to that area. And I was like, I can't prove that it was a bunch of people from Dropout, but this math makes sense.
Yeah, that someone was like sharing the link on the company Slack, and they're
like, guys,
yeah,
we
got into this.
We got the dick dice girl. She's making us rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very wild, and I would
Yeah.
love to make something for them again. It would be super cool. Hey Sam, since I know you see Jordan's shit, if you ever want to collab with a small dice maker, I'll happily design Dimension 20 rocks. I'll do that. And then cry because I got the chance to do it.
So at this point, do we think you count as a person who has worked for Dropout? Feels like yes, they paid you money.
I mean, yes, they did pay me
Great.
money.
I'm
I
writing
think
you down
that
as
does.
43 and the circle. You are my 43rd unique person from Dropout who I have interviewed.
I mean, I guess technically I do still fall into your niche because I have taken their money. I'm a
Mhm.
little bit better than you because they
Yeah.
haven't given you any money.
No, they do not. Um,
They should.
I mean,
They
they don't
should.
need to. I promote their stuff for free.
You should probably figure out how to do that in a way that's monetizable.
I mean, it's monetized on TikTok, but
No,
yeah.
I mean
Yes.
real
Yeah. Oh, I
monetizable,
know.
Jordan.
Yeah.
We all know TikTok money is not real money.
It is sometimes. Sometimes you yell
Okay,
about
look,
Reese's
look,
Pieces
just
and it's real
because
money.
just because you can deep throat a banana and get 73,000 views.
Yeah, that one's
Okay.
that video is 18 seconds long. It is not making any money.
No.
It is not monetized. I was just like, this will be fun, and maybe we'll get some numbers up on other videos.
I've never understood like the video of my dad reacting to Douglas did like pretty well considering that like nothing I've posted lately has done well. And by pretty well, I'm like it did like I think like 45, but like on
And you have like
Instagram
500,000 or some like wild number
just
of followers,
shy of
right?
like 400,000 or something
Okay.
like that. I don't think about it. It's somewhere like high three. It's over 350, I think.
Okay.
I don't look at it anymore because if I look at it, concepting that many people,
Right.
it makes my dad broke me a while ago because he and it was back when I still had like 50 or 60K, and he was like, you realize that's like more people than can fit in Lincoln Financial Field because I grew up in Philly. And he was like, that's more people who can fit where the Eagles play like 4 or 5 times over. I was like, that's what?
Man. I'm sitting at like 61, and I just realized that's more than the town that I live in, and that's not okay. It's double the town that I live in. That's wild.
I can't think about it in that. It's part of why, like, one of the things I love doing at cons, I'm bad at names, but I make a point of every time someone says, "Oh, I know you from TikTok," I ask them what their name is, because it feels important to put a name to that number. And like, I know I'm probably not going to remember the name, but I also know that they're going to remember that like I cared enough to ask because I do care, and I want to have like an engaging moment with that person. But at the same time, like I can't wrap my head around that number. It's too many people, and like on the scale of like an Iffy or a Brian, like that's too many. That would blow my brain.
Yeah, it's wild.
I can't process that.
Yeah, it's I met a bunch of people at Gen Con. Like I said, besides when I demanded people take pictures with me, I met people who actually wanted to take pictures with me as well.
Are you sure they weren't just like intimidated by your presence?
Really confident, yeah. But yeah, it's funny because like I also would try to be like, hey, oh yeah, what's your name? And like we would talk for a minute, and they would walk away, and I'd be like, I got none of it now. Like it's all gone immediately because I was so tired. Because like we had gone, my wife and kid came with me. We had gone to St. Louis for like 2 days to see family before that, and then drove to Indianapolis. And then like I was out every night until I mean that Saturday night I was out until 2 a.m., which is bonkers for me.
That's late for Grandpa Jordan.
Yeah. And but like I had I kept hoping Abria was going to show up to the party.
Okay, wait, this gives me a good segue. Jordan, I need to know if you're refusing to have a blood feud with me because you cannot handle having a blood feud with more than one black woman at a time, because I feel like that's what it is.
No, it's just look.
Or it's just because I keep getting called, and I think they meant this as a compliment, but someone told me to my face the other day that I was the Wish.com version of Abria, and like I think they meant it as a compliment.
Yeah.
But like I'm still taking it as a compliment because that still feels cool.
Look, I have the S tier blood feud already. I don't have time for other blood feuds.
I'll just be B tier. Let me be a
yeah,
B tier blood feud.
that's fine. It's like
There's your clip. I just want to
yeah.
be your B tier blood feud.
It's this is now baseball talk. I don't know if you were a baseball fan.
So I am.
Okay.
I grew up in Philadelphia.
Yes.
I'm not a Phillies fan.
Okay.
My mom is a Phillies fan. My dad's team is the team I root for. Here's where this gets really stupid. My dad grew up in Springfield, Massachusetts. So
Mm-hmm.
by default, he should be a Red Sox fan.
Right.
He's not a
But
Red Sox fan. He's a New York Yankees fan.
oh boy,
so I'm a Yankees fan.
fair. So
I'll
I'm
accept if the Phillies win because then my mom's happy and she
yeah
lets me live at her house rent free. So like that's
yeah.
fine. But I'd prefer it if the Yankees won.
Gotcha. Yeah, I grew up in St. Louis, hence the family there. So huge St. Louis Cardinals fan all my life, and this was a million years ago, and I was wearing a Cardinals hat at like an event that I was at, and this guy came up to me and we were chatting. And he's like, "Oh, well, you and I are going to be enemies." And he like pointed to my hat, and I said, "Oh, are you a Cubs fan?" And he goes, no, I'm an Astros fan. And I was like, oh, I don't think about you at all. I was like,
Like you don't exist to me.
yeah, like I understand to you we're rivals, to me we're not. Like it's Cubs and then everyone else. So
I'm more football than baseball. Football's my happy place.
mhm.
I am very much an Eagles fan. I bleed green. I literally, when they won the Super Bowl, I was trying to figure out how I could get to Philadelphia for the parade. And I will be friends with anyone as long as they're not a Cowboys fan.
Great.
At
I
that
hate the
point,
Cowboys. So
you have to just go away. You don't
yeah.
exist to me anymore if you like the Dallas Cowboys. That's the only fit. The only problem with Critical Role for me. This is such an obscure segue. Is
Travis
that
Willingham.
Travis
Oh no,
Willingham is a
yeah.
Cowboys fan, and like I love the characters he plays, but as on principle, I have to dislike Travis Willingham because he's a Cowboys fan, and it hurts my soul.
At least you got like Sam Riegel in a Cowboys jersey, which was clearly mocking Travis and
Oh
not
yeah, and then got
celebrating
like
him.
covered in blood.
Yeah. Um, you want another one of my questions? The
If
very
it's
serious,
about
important
balance,
question.
I'm gonna stab you.
Okay, well then I'll skip that one, and I'll go to the other question I have written down. Is
I'm sure
resin really that bad?
Okay. So I'm not gonna name the content creator because I'm not gonna do that on the internet for you or for me. But there's a creator who does a lot of DIY work and has like millions of followers, and it drives me up a wall every time they're just like mixing resin or pouring resin like in their dining room with no gloves or no respirator, and then they're like, I'm gonna let this sit and we're gonna go like watch TV or make. I was like, that's in your kitchen where you resin lets off toxic fumes, like, and I do you want to have the cancer? Because you can have the if that's what you want, by all means go do that. But from what I have heard, cancer's not great. It's not a fun time. So maybe wear some PPE. Like do that. Do that, please. Dear God. Like someone told me at a con once, they're like, yeah, no, I want to start making my own dice. I'm just mixing in my living room while I watch TV, and then like I wear my respirator, and then I just take it off once I'm done casting, and then I just leave it on the counter. I was like, well then what was the point of you wearing the respirator? Because you're still in the room with it while it's letting off fumes, you dingleberry. Like, could you not, please? Ha! Sorry.
I knew that one would get you. All right, one of the nice ones then.
Baited me. You
Yeah.
baited me.
This one is fun. Do you have a project idea so over the top or unhinged you've been afraid to attempt it? And in the words of Abria, do it, coward.
There's several. The one that comes to mind, I haven't attempted yet because I need to get the 3D printer up and running. And it's actually gonna be like a partnership for Michael Corey, who is Props to History on TikTok, if anyone on TikTok is watching. And they do props and stuff for movies. And they threw out this idea of doing a set of table crusher sized dice that were all movie MacGuffins. So like doing like the ruby slippers from the Wizard of Oz on like a golden road. And it's just that like it would be lots of time consuming printing and painting and then building bases and the whole shebang-a-do. And it's going to take so much time, and considering I'm coming to you from a hotel, like I'm in the middle of roughly 3 weeks straight on the road. I think on Monday I drive home, I'll be home for maybe 30 hours, and then I go to Atlanta for a week, and then I'll be home for 2 days, and then I come back to Florida to go to Orlando for like 4 days, and then I get a break, and then I'm home for like 3 weeks. So like I haven't been home long enough to do so many of the many things that are in my fucking head. But like that's the one that comes to mind first. Is that it's not that I haven't done it because I'm a coward. I just don't have time or a safe place to print resin, because resin printers are also toxic. Bring
Yeah.
it full circle.
You just throw that in your office and you sit next to it while it prints.
Yeah, I'll just like stick my nose over the vat and just inhale deeply.
Mm-hmm. I have one, and I'll name this one as well. Normally, I don't name the people because this is actually where the Do It Coward came from, which is this is the stupidest thing in the world. I have a $200 tier on my Patreon where if someone pays that, I will ask their question and tell the person who the person's name was, and no one has ever taken me up on it, which is fair.
I'm so tempted now to do it just to spite you, but then I have to give you $200.
That is true.
And I don't want to I don't want to spite you that badly.
Yeah, I told Abria this, and she was like, "Do it, cowards! Like, ask me a weird question, and I'm going to remember your name, and we're going to have words about it the next time I see you at a convention."
If you ever get Abria back, that will be the moment I join your Patreon just to ask Abria a weird question.
Perfect. So this is from Jesse Davis. I love Jesse so much, and this one, I think you're going to enjoy this one. Why is Whitney so talented, great at cosplay, hilarious, smart, chaotic, gorgeous, and wonderful? Congrats on the Crit Award.
Did your chat just decide to like throw compliments at me because they know how deeply it makes me hurt?
Maybe. Sometimes people are nice.
Thank you, Jesse. I don't know if was that a question? How do I answer the question?
I can ask you a different one she asked.
Okay.
Whitney mentioned she's producing, GMing an upcoming actual play. What's the details on that?
God. Okay. So scheduling is the ultimate BBEG, and that's kind of where we're stuck right now is scheduling. I have a cast. I have not formally announced them yet, and I don't have a date yet. But I have said loosely in public that it's called The Veil of Aethium. I wanted to tell a dark fantasy story. I love stuff like Game of Thrones and The Black Cauldron and Dark Crystal and like stories that don't necessarily have a happy ending, because I think fantasy stories that don't have a happy ending can be really interesting and entertaining. Because for me, the journey is the more important part of the story than like, here's the victory. Victory's boring. How did we get here? Let's talk about. It's why the Lord of the Rings is fascinating. I don't give a crap that they destroyed the ring at the end of it. The journey of how they got to destroying the ring is the fucking Oh wow, I think I finally understood Lord of the Rings. Don't tell Don. Don't post that. No, because now you can post it and you can tag him in it. Oh God. Now I have to watch the extended editions. He's gonna make me do it.
Understands. Lord
Are you texting him right now?
Uh-huh.
I'm texting him back.
It's about the journey.
Okay. Hold on. Now I'm also gonna text him.
He'll respond to you first.
He will. Ignore everything Jordan says. I know nothing. I am Jon Snow.
But yeah,
we'll
journey
first. But yeah,
journey
I like
actual
journey.
play coming. I love that.
Yeah, it's called The Veil of Aethium. It will be on twitch.tv/smokingglueguns once I learn how Twitch works.
Boy, not the right place for that.
I know. But I can't do an actual play on TikTok. I'm not doing that. And then I'll post VODs over on the red play button app, because that's where VODs go.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited about it. I've GM'd a couple of times off camera. And I've done a bunch of stuff on camera, and I've been a player. But the thing I think is most important, and why I finally caved and have decided to do it, is because there is an alarming lack of diversity in just like GMs of color that we know. Like
Hmm.
my running gag to people is like, cool, can you list can you list 5 GMs of color and you cannot use the words Abria Iyengar in your response. I love Abria, but you can't use Abria. And they're like, um J- Jasmine from Desi Quest and
Hmm.
like Anjali Bamani. And I was like, that's
Hmm.
great. That's great. You got to get to 5. And they're like, I can't do
Oh,
that. And I was like, yeah,
I mean,
it's a
one of them is
problem.
canceled. One of them's canceled. So,
Yes.
like, there's a third.
Yeah.
B. Dave Walters, easy one right there.
Yeah. You can
B.
throw
Dave's.
Jasper on that list too.
Oh yeah,
But like,
Jasper's not. We're not allowed to name Jasper, or
not allowed to
Jasper
leave
gets me to
Jasper.
5.
Jasper's not on
Oh,
the list
okay,
either.
got it. Then, oh no, oh, if I could only remember Jasper's co-host name, and it's now like immediately blanking me. You can't do this to me at 8:30 at night. Um, uh, but
but
yes,
but my point is, I will continue to bleed about it online, but I kind of came to the conclusion that like if I'm gonna publicly publicly be very much like, hey, we need to fix this, I have to be willing to put my own hat in the ring. So I'm gonna put my hat in the ring, and I might crash and burn and be really bad at it, but people keep telling me I'm a good storyteller and I'm kind of funny, so we gotta try.
yeah, makes sense to me. Look, I would say I'll watch it, but let's be real. I'm not current on anything. So, like, I would love. Oh, is that him responding? Oh,
He sent
he
it
put
to
us
us
in
in a
a.
group chat.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah. Well played, Don. Uh, yeah,
I adore that human.
yeah, delightful.
It is not lost on me that my interview with a generic looking white man became about another generic looking white man.
That's fair. Ooh, iffy. There's 5. Got it.
Jordan, that took too much work.
Hey, you were answering a question. I didn't want to interrupt you.
That is valid. That is valid.
Um, uh, yeah, I mean, it's a thing. Like, I talked to Bria about that. About, like, especially for her, because that list basically starts and ends with her of
Mm-hmm.
like women of color GMs, and obviously like there are more out there, but like when people are like Abria, and then they forget that anyone else exists. Yeah, I talked about like because she's an only child, I'm an only child, and I was like, is that where like the drive, like everything has to be perfect comes from? That's where it comes from for me. And she's like, yeah, that, and also as a like Black queer woman, if I'm not perfect, then no one else gets to do it after me.
Oh
And I
my
was
god,
like, oh
that
yeah,
that
yeah, that,
so much. Like there's so many times where there are things or comments or things that I want to respond to, and I had to explain this to someone once. I was like, I can't respond to certain comments because you can do the same thing with black dice makers.
yeah.
Can you name 5 of those? Because I bet you can't.
I can't name 5 dice makers, so
But like
unless
most,
ChessX counts as one.
they do not. They do not. But I know a lot of people who can name 5 dice makers, and most of them are all, for lack of a better word, white presenting women and
Mhm.
occasionally white presenting dudes. And then usually me. And it's like there are other creators of color making dice, but like I can't just respond to certain comments because then I'm the angry lady,
Yeah,
if I don't do it well, or like there's a level of um pedestal placing that I feel like has kind of happened to some degree, where I have to like I feel like I have to work harder than anyone else so that I can like be allowed entrance to the table. So I'm constantly grinding, for lack of a better word. I don't know how to
yeah.
stop.
You know what's really great about being a straight white man? I can yell about anything, and
You have open
occasionally people,
invitation to
yeah,
my comment section, Jordan.
yeah,
You make whatever videos you want off my
great.
comments and you can yell at them for me.
Yeah, occasionally people are like, "Hey, this was not great," and they're like, "Yeah, you're right." But for the most part, people are like, "He got it." I can yell about like, if you're gonna shit talk a Bria, learn how to spell her name right.
Oh my
Like
god.
I can do that video, and no one's gonna be mad at me about it. But anyway, you want another nice question, or do you want my last
I would
question, which is, are your dice balanced?
I'm at day one
I'm
of Tampa
taking
Bay
him to the
Comic Con.
casino. I need.
I'm at day one of Tampa Bay Comic Con. I have a little sign on the table that literally just says something effective like, do not ask me about the B word. I get very mad and I will grit my teeth and respond to you, but I am silently cursing and hexing your family. I got asked about balance 15 times today. Like some iteration of it, either like, are your dice balanced? Do you saltwater test them? Are they weighted? Oh, well, you put a figurine inside it, so clearly this feels heavier. And like, I think the problem with the question isn't inherently, because sometimes you can tell when someone asks a question from a genuine space of wanting to learn and understand, but a lot of times it's misogynistic dude bros who
Mhm.
like think that me being a lady seems to mean I don't know how to do my job. A lot of times it's coming from that level of just inherent misogyny, and it's frustrating. And I want to be like, hey, it's actually really hard to make weighted dice. I just had to do it for a thing I'm legally not allowed to talk about for a bit. And I had to full on put like lead fishing weights inside of a D20. And even then, like it wasn't hitting a natural one or a natural 20 like every time I rolled it, because the geometry of the shape naturally lends itself to being a reasonably random roll. So like it's also, we're playing pretend.
Yeah,
Let me have my pretty rocks and shut the fuck up.
yeah,
Or
yeah.
at least don't ask Chessex as much as you ask me.
Right. Yeah. Look, unless it literally is landing on the same number every single time, then I don't care.
Yeah.
Like,
It's not that deep, dude.
yeah,
It's not that deep. You're a barbarian. Rage and go hit the BBEG and
yeah.
shut the fuck up.
Good stuff. Well, we're through my questions
Yeah.
because those were the important ones.
The three passive aggressive,
Yeah.
geared to make me rage into ranting at you
Uh huh.
questions.
Yep. I took a picture of it, so like I was like, I'll post it on Instagram after we do the interview because I posted before. Then she'll know that I'm bringing this heat. Um, uh, but um, uh,
Respect.
from other folks on the Patreon, any specific style of dice you prefer to make? Liquid core with stuff in it, plain, etc.
I like the weird stuff. There's something deeply fun. Like, there's lots of people who make pretty sparkles. I like making liquid cores, but when I do make liquid cores, I tend to lean more towards the ones where it's like split with oil and water, so you get like weird little droplets and stuff. I like stuff that looks different from what you see, because so many people do like pretty sparkles or pretty golden flakes, and that's just not who I am. I can do that, and I do it very well, but like give me your teeth and your severed heads and your dice full of peens, or like just like I like all of I like trying to make stuff that's different and unique. It's part of why I only do one-offs or limited runs of things. Like my favorite set of dice that is the bane of my existence currently is I've been making an Avengers inspired set, and like the D20 has a hand painted gauntlet, Infinity Gauntlet in it,
Mm-hmm.
and then I did
Oh yeah, I saw it.
geodes.
It's stunning.
It's like my favorite set I've ever done. Followed closely by the Portal set, which is also an insane amount of fucking work. But I like doing stuff like that where it's like telling a cohesive story through a set of dice that not necessarily is like about a character. It's more like the what's the word I'm looking for? The restriction of the space forces
Mhm.
me to be creative in a way that I'm never usually expecting, because I have this much space to work in. How can I tell a story in 7 pieces of dice in a very tiny window? And that's fun to unravel that knot.
Yeah, delightful. Any wacky ideas you don't think somebody will pay for, but you want to make it anyway? And then in parentheses, it says, "I'm looking at you, Clarence."
Well, Douglas was pretty wacky.
I'm assuming they
Douglas
meant Douglas and not
they
Clarence. Is Clarence a different one
No,
that also existed?
Clarence was the OG baby head, which was
Okay.
just the
Oh, so
big.
this is a deep cut fan.
Yeah, this is someone who's
Yeah.
been around for a minute. So like there's the original head that was just the creepy spooky black and white doll baby head. And then Douglas is 2.0. And he happened because Katiosaurus told me I should cut out the eyes of the head and put D20s in the eyes. And I tried that and they didn't fit. So I was like, "Oh, well, I could put a whole set of dice embedded in the skull, but then I'd have to like use clay to like make it look like it was wounds, and then I had to like look up how to paint so that it looked like it just my brain doesn't make sense to me sometimes. I don't know how, like, this is where we started, and then I have this horror monstrosity. How did we get to here? I don't know.
That's fair.
Oh, there is one dice that I've always wanted to make and I haven't made. And hopefully when I get the 3D printer working, I want to do, it's surprisingly wholesome. I want to do a liquid core, like a 62 millimeter. And I want the bottom to be blue. And I want 2 little otters floating on top. And I want to put little magnets in their paws. So that way when they
Oh, that's
bump
good.
together,
Yeah.
they'll like touch hands and like hold hands. And then if you shake it, they'll split apart and then come back together. I want to do that. But I have to 3D print the otters hollow so they'll float.
Yeah.
And then like paint them and seal them so the paint doesn't come off in the water.
And get
then
magnets in their hands.
And get magnets in their, like, it's gonna be so much work. And I just, that's my coward moment. That's my Abria. I need to do it because I'm a coward. It's gonna be too much work.
It's like, oh man, it was Burroughs End, the like wolf monstrosity. I talked to Shane Brockway when he built it, and he was like, I was drilling holes into this thing so I could get magnets so that they could like put other pieces, and then like trying to cover up the magnets so you couldn't see them. Like, what a wild thing you have to do.
The amount of work it comes to doing like creative stuff, like any of it, people just see the end result. Because like you don't want to sit and watch the hours I spent making this thing. You want like 3 to 6 clips of like the little bits of the process, and you don't care how long it took. And you don't know. Or the ways we have to think outside of a box to be like, okay, this is what I want. I've got to go through 17 hoops before we get there.
Yeah. This person also, lastly, any non-dice crafting that you love, any non-dice crafting hobbies that you love to do?
Oh, it's cosplay, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Partly because it deeply pisses off people on the internet because I am a bigger bodied person. So God forbid.
And a black woman. So
I
like,
know. Dude, the internet's gonna be real mad.
You play Pike? Oh boy, people are mad, I'm sure.
Oh no, the one that gets people really mad is Jaina Proudmoore from World of Warcraft.
That means nothing to me. Oh,
that's valid.
I know the name because MadPod talked about her, but that's the only reason I know the name, because Emily thought her name was Gina.
Perfect. She's a skinny white lady. And people had feelings that I was thick and brown. Someone, like, my favorite was someone saying something effective like, "Oh, Jaina got a tan and a cheeseburger." And I was like, if you're gonna insult me, at least be creative about it. Like that's bar level fat and black jokes. We can do better. The internet's gonna be really mad because I'm currently debating on doing an Arwen cosplay, but I specifically want to do Arwen from Return of the King at the very end with like the fancy crown and all that fun jazz, but I want to do it with micro braids instead of like her traditional long straight hair. And the internet's they're gonna have feelings about it because God forbid I put black people in Tolkien.
Yeah, you don't put black people in Lord of the Rings. No. We all know that. That is not a thing that's acceptable.
God forbid.
Yeah. Elves are white. End of story. Only white people existed in England forever. Well, this has been absolutely delightful. Somehow an hour has passed. Because you're delightful to talk to, and we're friends, so this was incredibly easy. And that's why I only had to write 3 questions, because like this is going to be the easiest thing in the world.
We're just going to chat, and it's going to we'll get to an hour of content.
Yeah. Let's say that people didn't understand the many times you said that you're smoking glue guns on the internet. Where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at Smoking Glue Guns everywhere except for Facebook because it's irrelevant. I have a Facebook, but there's just one less G. So instead of it being Smoking Glue Guns, it's just Smoking Glue Guns without a G in the middle. Does that make sense?
Gotcha. Yeah. Smoking Glue Guns.
Yeah. Or if you want to buy my rocks, you can go to www.smokingglueguns.com, click shop, and then buy my rocks so that I can go eat ice cream cake.
Yeah,
that would be really great.
And there's a form where you can write, "Why are they so expensive?"
Oh my God, Jordan.
Or do you go to TikTok comments to write that?
No, don't encourage. No.
You know what you taught me, and it was so great because it was such a good video. The time the guy was like, "Die is singular, dice is plural," and you're like, "Hey, get fucked, it's not." And I was
I
like, I didn't know that, and I love it. I would have never
yeah.
in any way thought to like try to correct anyone about it, but I was like, oh, this is even better that dice
Yeah.
is also singular.
It's become a, what's the word, a colloquialism, I think is the
Mhm.
word. It's
Yeah,
kind of like how like we all call fucking tissues Kleenex. It's a tissue. We
yeah.
call them Q-tips. It's a cotton swab. We call it Vaseline. It's petroleum jelly. Like at a certain point in a lexicon, you use a word enough. People use the word yes, technically die is singular and you can do it that way. But like also people have just called a single dice for so long that now that's just what we do.
And it's in the
I'm
dictionary, so it
I'm
counts.
sorry, Kevin. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry that the big black lady had to correct you on the internet. I'm so
Oh, it was so
sorry. I'm
good.
not sorry, Kevin. Get fucked.
Yeah. Get fucked, Kevin. On that delightful note, Whitney, this was the best.
Yeah.
And also, you've probably never watched one of these to the end before, which is fair. And I don't know how to end an interview, so I'm gonna hit stop recording.